First, take a trip down to Texas, where a police officer named Scott Harrell lost his job because of a viral video. In the video, Harrell stopped and held Christopher Schull, who drove through the Buc-ee's parking lot to get gas. The event was recorded by Harrell's body camera.
Hey man, you can't drive through a parking lot like that.
Later, he explained that he was in the parking lot, doing some work on a report, when he saw what happened. According to him, Schull drove through empty parking spaces and almost hit a truck while pulling to the gas pump.
You want to go to jail? You want to go to jail? You want to go to jail? You could go to jail for this.
Then, Officer Harrell and Schull started arguing about whether Harrell could give Schull a ticket for what happened on private property. Schull got upset and started yelling at Harrell.
You are talking, and you're threatening to take me to jail. And so I shouldn't be getting upset?
Harrell put handcuffs on Schull and placed him in the back of his police car. Harrell believed if he didn't do this, Schull would file a complaint against him in the police department. Another officer showed up during the traffic stop and gave Harrell a book to write Schull a ticket. Then, Schull was released. He intended to teach this officer a lesson, so he couldn't treat other drivers like that. And he was lucky in this case. The former police chief, Joe Stanton, looked at what Harrell did in the situation and decided to investigate it with the Office of Professional Standards. And then, New Texas City Police Chief Landis Cravens terminated Harrell. This decision gave the message that misusing the power while in the police uniform isn't acceptable at all. The second cop on our list, Donovan Rojas, is the lowest of the low. The way he misused his powers proved it. Videos from the cameras worn by deputies and from the car's dashboard showed the moment Rojas was arrested last month in the Florida Keys.
Here, walk right here. Shut the f*** up. Get right over here.
The Monroe County Sheriff's Office said police officer Rojas was driving a Chrysler 300 car around 3:55 a.m., heading north on US 1 near mile marker 101 in Key Largo. The deputies turned on their lights and sirens to pull over Rojas, but he didn't stop. Instead, he chose to drive fast, going over 110 miles per hour. Finally, he stopped his car, and the police officers got the chance to take out their guns.
I don't give a f*** who you are. Get on your knees.
Hey, I'm a cop. Why you acting like that? I'm a cop.
Rojas felt free to give the lame accusations, saying he was a Miami-Dade police officer and Chrysler was his car with no markings. The case was so dramatic that one video showed Rojas crying. Was he trying to get sympathy? Or was it his natural reaction? Well, the story didn't end here. Rojas was also drunk at that time. He also refused a field sobriety test, appearing to be intoxicated.
Tell me what you want to do. Refuse? Okay.
After this, the situation escalated. Rojas was arrested. He was also facing charges of evading. He no longer had the job and duties at the Miami-Dade Police Department. Lastly, we'll meet Claire Hall, who sued the South Kingstown police for assaulting her. It all started when Ms. Hall found a high school student who seemed confused and was suffering from a head injury incident in his car. Someone had already called 911. She asked the 17-year-old if he needed help contacting someone to let them know about the accident and where he was going for treatment. Ms. Hall offered her phone so the 17-year-old could call his dad. But because he was hurt and upset, he couldn't do it himself. So, Hall made the call for him.
I'm just trying to tell his father. So
We're in the middle of the highway.
She talked to the 17-year-old's dad, telling him who she was and that his son had been in an accident. She said the boy was okay, but had his head and leg hurt. Soon after Hall arrived, a police officer named Souza also showed up. He didn't have a camera on him and aggressively came to the scene, which was clear to Hall. However, she didn't know why he was acting that way. She told Officer Souza who she was and that she got there right after the accident to offer help. When Officer Souza arrived, the 17-year-old's dad was still on the phone with Hall. He asked the boy to move his car off the road without checking if he was hurt. Hall told Officer Souza that the boy might have a head injury and couldn't reach his dad on his phone. Officer Souza got angrier, seemingly because he wanted to clear the scene urgently. Later, another police officer, Matthew, joined the scene. Unlike Officer Souza, he had a recording camera on him, and he made the situation worse, demanding Hall to move her car too. Ms. Hall told Officer Matthew that the 17-year-old's dad, who was still on the phone with her, was worried about his son and wanted to know where he was going for help. She talked to the officer for about a minute, during which she was apprehensive about the officer wanting the 17-year-old to drive with a head injury. After that, Ms. Hall offered Officer Matthew her phone so he could talk to the 17-year-old's dad directly. But he suddenly reached out and grabbed Ms. Hall, which scared her because she didn't know why he was touching her.
No, you do not touch me! Oh my God! Stop!
Ms. Hall was attacked, held down, thrown to the ground, and handcuffed forcefully. She suffered severe injuries. She cried out in pain and told the officers about her shoulder injury.
Now! Oh my God! Stop it! Ow! Ow!
But Officer Matthew just said that the rescue team could check on her later. While on the ground, Ms. Hall asked why she was being arrested because she hadn't done anything wrong. Officer White said it was because she wasn't listening to him. The lawsuit filed in federal district court in Providence on behalf of Claire Hall. It is alleged that she was unlawfully arrested and physically injured. She was placed in imminent fear for her well-being. She was emotionally damaged. She was embarrassed, humiliated, and illegally and wrongfully charged as a criminal. And that's all for today. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the exciting updates.